My name's Jason Mullins. I'm the owner of Crawl Space and Basement Technologies. So one of the most common questions I get is about vapor barriers. I get calls all the time to put in a new vapor barrier. When the reality of it is the vapor barrier is probably the most useless thing that a crawl space has. If the barrier is just a piece of plastic laid on the ground, if it's not totally seamed together and sealed together, then what occurs is in a heavy rain event, hydrostatic pressure saturates the ground, and the more it rains, the more the pressure builds underneath of the crawl space. Well, when that moisture comes up out of the ground, if it's just a plain vapor barrier, then the moisture will just find the cracks, crevices, and still fills the room. So now what the problem would be, if you were to put a new vapor barrier in there, you're going to have big puddles of water on top of that plastic that can't dissipate into the ground. So the real truth is a vapor barrier causes as much harm as it does good in the crawl space. So therefore, we're going to recommend totally sealing the crawl space. So why is a sealed crawl space important? Well, for the last probably 50, 60, 70 years, as long as our building codes have been around, we've been building crawl spaces basically the same way. And our building code tells us to ventilate that crawl space. A ventilated crawl space in this climate, in North Carolina, hot, humid climate, can cause disasters under a home. Basically, what's happening is we're allowing hot, humid air to ventilate a cool, damp space. In today's modern home, we have air conditioning systems that typically are located in the crawl spaces. So in the summer months, when we have these really, really hot times, when the hot, humid air goes into the crawl space, it gathers on the air conditioning lines and starts to condensate, creating lots of excessive moisture in the crawl space. In general, insects don't drink water, they absorb water through their exoskeleton, so therefore they have to live in a wet, damp environment. The solution here is not spraying more poison underneath of your house. The solution is drying that space out so you no longer have the insect infestation that happens. When you take away all the insects, you tend to take away the mice and the snakes, which are after the insects. And so it just follows all along. The crawl space is really part of the house, whether you realize it or not. It's the first floor of the house, actually. And so until we control that, it's going to affect the rest of the house in a negative way. So why is a sealed crawl space important? You stop letting cold air in the winter months, you stop letting hot air in the summer months. In return, your system doesn't run nearly as much. This is where the efficiency comes in. It's no different than shutting your doors and windows on the first floor of your structure. If you want to protect your house, you've got to be able to close the windows and doors in order to use the air conditioning, heating, cooling system. Another misconception is mold doesn't come from the ground. It actually starts airborne, where it comes through the foundation vents, gathers on the wood above, and it's basically a smorgasbord for mold, if you will. If you let this go on and on and on unattended, year after year, it's kind of like that proverbial snowball rolling downhill. It gets larger and larger and larger. The new mold spores that enter the crawl space attack the wood. Well, in the wintertime, they may go dormant, but in the spring, these awaken, start to breed and feed, and then more new spores are being added as we're ventilating our houses. And so this causes a huge increase in mold down below. All of that is affecting us because when our heating and cooling systems run, the crawl space is literally put in negative pressure. So all of the air in the crawl space is being drawn to the top side of the house. So like it or not, you're breathing whatever is in your crawl space. The EPA says about 65% of all the air on the first floor of the home has traveled through that crawl space. So quite staggering when you think about it. Thank you for your time, for taking a look at our video to see if I can help you with your crawl space. My name is Jason Mullins. I'm the owner of Crawl Space and Basement Technologies here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Our contact number is 919-847-7072. My website is www.CBTofNC.com. Please give me a call if I can help.